big one. That's a big one. What if fish is mad? Got him. Sweet. That is where good electronics comes into play. Check out how he ate this jig. He ate that jig, man. I was just going through the heart of the rock and I got stuck and I kind of shook it free and I pulled it over this rock and it never fell. That was just awesome. Let me show you the jig. This is a little finesse jig that I make from Do It Molds. They're football jig and it's hand tied with living rubber. I got a little Rains ring craw on the back of it, and when the water's cold, it's a go-to. It's a 1/2 ounce, so it's a compact 1/2 ounce jig. I like to throw it on casting. That's a really nice fish right there. What an awesome fish, man. Hey guys, I want to take a second and talk about one of my favorite little compact jig molds. And you know, it's a mold that you can use for standard jigs, but also I make a compact football jig out of this mold. And you know, we fish a lot of small bodies of water and heavily pressured bodies of water. So I'm a big fan of a compact jig. And sometimes, you know, you're going to use compact jigs and they're light, but there's certain times and certain situations where you need a heavier compact jig, something that I can fish on casting gear, a little heavier line, and you can kind of manhandle fish. And I'm a big fan of the football jig mold from Do It Molds. I'm going to show you real quick, kind of not a completely finished product, but a finished pour anyway. It still has to be painted. The deal with this is it's got a good football head. It stands up good. It's got a dual keeper on it. So you got a collar and then you have a keeper for your plastic, which I got to kind of clean that up a little bit. But what's nice, that dual collar allows you to do several things with it. It allows you to tie silicone, living rubber. It allows you to make a kind of a heavier duty spider grub of your choice. You know, I do a lot of things with a Rains ring craw and a Rains punching predator and stuff, and kind of make it like a hybrid spider craw using some kind of a hula skirt. So it allows you to put that hula skirt on there if you want to do something a little bit different. But I use this a lot with living rubber. This is, to me, this size in particular, and you'll see it's a compact size. This is a stout Gamakatsu 2/0 hook, and I love that in that you can use a compact hook. It's a stout hook and it's a 1/2 ounce. So it's plenty heavy. I can fish it on casting gear. I like custom tying this with living rubber and fishing it in cold water situations. It's one of my favorite jigs to fish around rock. You know, when I'm fishing straight rock and I want a little heavier fall, this is the jig. So I'm going to show you a quick pour. I'm going to show you a couple things that I do because this hook is not made for this mold. And I just want to show you the little quick pour of how I put this jig together. All right, so what you need to make this jig, I use the Gamakatsu Jig 60 FE RB, which is round bend, 2/0. It's a flat eye, 60 degree. It's a heavy gauge hook. Awesome hook. I mean, one of my favorite hooks for a jig. Compact. You need Do It FG30 HB. That's a heavy wire fiber guard. I'm a big fan of heavy wire because you can always cut it down, you can always soften it. Let's start heavy and go from there. You know, I'm a big fan of the heavy guard. So, one step I forgot to mention. When this comes out of the package, and I'm going to pull one as is, it comes loose like this. What I actually do, and I can't do it right now because it's windy, I take a lighter. I previously did this to bypass this. Is I melted this together so everything is nice and neat. What that does is when you put it in the mold, it doesn't flatten down. Now, you can do different things with this mold depending on the hook that you're using. You can put the hook in, you can put a little spacer there, which creates a hole in there. With a larger hook, you can do that, and then you end up gluing in your weed guard and you don't have to do this. But with this hook, because it's not meant for the mold, and I haven't done anything to doctor this mold, I do it as is. I put that hook in, I put the weed guard as far up as I can, close it down like that, and hopefully we got everything nice and neat. And then you pour it. So there's advantages and there's disadvantages to doing it this way. And this wasn't completely perfect, but almost. I messed up maybe one guard or two and cut it down, it's no problem. The advantage of this is you can use this hook without messing up the mold and doctoring the mold. You know, you could probably Dremel it out and get it to work to where you could offset the hook, but I haven't done that. I do it just as is. The disadvantage of doing it this way is you can't powder coat it. You probably could. You could actually probably get a little piece of a tube on there and powder coat it, but what I actually do a lot of times, I just put nail polish on it. Just black nail polish, finish it up, and it's good to go. It's not as good of a finish as like a Protect powder paint, but it gets the job done, and you know, once you pull that lead off of there, that's what it looks like. So that's the beginning stage. You got to paint it, and then you can just add your skirt of choice. I like to have it hand tied, and living rubber is my preference when I'm fishing cold water. So that is the football jig from Do It Molds, compact, awesome little jig.